my friends. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ariana. I'm a coach, a breathwork facilitator, and lover of all things health, wellness, and personal growth and development. And here on this channel, you will find lots of different topics pertaining to breathwork, nervous system health, holistic well-being, and I'll occasionally be talking about things like entrepreneurship and just a little bit of random life stuff because it's my channel and I get to talk about whatever I want. So today what I'm talking about is how breathwork changed my life. And oof, that is a ballsy claim, I know, but it really did change my life. And I love sharing this story with folks because I want to show people what is possible for you. Not necessarily from breathwork, maybe something else is your catalyst for change and expansion in your life. But I want to paint a picture of what my life was like before I encountered breathwork, before I began working with my body at the level of the nervous system, and what it's like now, where I'm reaping the benefits of all of the hard work that I did. So I encountered breathwork for the first time in April of 2018. So we're coming up on my 3-year anniversary. And up to that point, I had started hearing people talk about breathwork on different podcasts that I was listening to, but I really had no idea what it was. And I was in a mastermind at the time, and it was in one of our retreats in April. We had all gone to LA. It was great. I had been getting to know these women through the virtual world for the last 4 or so months, and I was so excited to be able to spend a weekend with them and my coach, who I was like kind of fangirling over working with. And on our retreat itinerary, we had this breathwork thing. It was one of the last things that we were going to be doing on our last day of the retreat, and I thought, cool. I'm down for some breath work. I'm down to try. And so when it came time to do breath work, we were all laying down on the floor. We were given towels to put over our faces if we were going to cry. And I was like, I'm not going to cry. I don't know what this is all about. And as the music started playing and the facilitator started guiding us through our journey, I don't know how long I was breathing for before I started to feel this well up of emotions. I started to feel like I needed to cry. And I thought, I don't need to cry. Why do I need to cry? I can't cry in front of this room full of women who I have only met for the first time in person this weekend. And it was pointless. Trying to hold it back, there was just nothing that I could do. And what followed next was one of the most intense emotional releases I had ever experienced in my life up to that point. It felt like every single shitty thing that I had ever experienced and stuffed down below me because I didn't want to deal with it or feel it, it was like it came back up in that moment for me to fully feel and experience and then let it go. And let me tell you, I struggled with addiction for 10 years. And when you are an addict, when you are an alcoholic, there's a lot of shit that you don't deal with. Drugs and alcohol were my coping mechanism. So anytime I felt something remotely uncomfortable, drink it away, pop it away. Even after becoming sober, fitness became my vice. I would literally run away from my problems and go out and do a 12-mile run. So suffice to say, within that session, which I later learned was only about 30 minutes in length, I thought we were there for hours. And in that session, it was years and years of therapy, years of talking about shit and unpacking and all of it. And the beautiful thing is that I didn't even have to relive each of those experiences. It was just the emotions of them that came up, and they were intense, and I felt them, and then they were gone. Now, I was super rocked after that session. I was like, I don't know what the fuck just happened to me. I know that this was potent. I know that this was magical. And I know that at some point I am going to be bringing this into my work in some way, shape, or form. But first, I need to figure out what the F just went down. And it actually took quite a bit of integration time for me. It was about a week where I really needed to be internal, where I needed to journal a lot, where I needed to process a lot. I flew home back to Vancouver the following morning on a really early morning flight, and I was crying pretty much the entire flight. While I was sitting in the airport, people were probably like, what is wrong with this chick? But it was still just an after effect of that session where I was continuing to purge and release those emotions that had been trapped in my poor body for so long. So I went through the integration phase. I started to make sense of what had come up and what I was releasing and working through. And there was this part of me that was like, I got to do that again. I love that shit. I want to go do it again. But knowing my addictive tendencies, knowing my, just how I tend to like really dive into things and like not allow for integration, and it's just kind of go, 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 I really held myself back. But I did look around for different breath circles in Vancouver. And Vancouver, if you are unaware of the little health bubble that we live in here, this is like the mecca for weird shit. Like you can find everything. You can find Reiki circles. You can find like different drum circles, dance circles, ecstatic dance, different healing modalities. Like basically, if there's something that you're looking for in Vancouver, you will be able to find it. And just under 3 years ago, I was not able to find a breath circle anywhere in Vancouver. I found a group who was doing holotropic breath work over on Vancouver Island, which was a little bit different from what I had experienced. But taking a ferry to go across the ocean to a little island, or not a little island, but an island off of our mainland of Vancouver, that was as close as I could get to doing breath work, easily at least, just under 3 years ago. So, I kept my eyes open. I would go look on Google every now and then. I'd scour Facebook, but I still didn't really find anything. And in January of 2019, my partner and I went to Bali for my 30th birthday. It was amazing. I loved it. Of course, the spiritual girl goes to Bali for her 30th birthday to find herself. And I thought, if I can find breathwork anywhere, I'm probably going to be able to find it in Bali. And I was right. I found a breath circle, went to it. It was beautiful. It was powerful. It wasn't quite the same experience as what I had had during that first time. I think because so much had been cleared and I had been doing a lot of work with myself and my body after that first really big experience, but it was still really potent and led to a lot of shifts and ahas and different ways of being able to view myself. And so when we came home from Bali at the end of January, I was like, you know what? F it. Like, this is time. I need to dive into this. I need to find ways to bring this into my life. So I Googled Breathwork Teacher Training Vancouver 2019. And what did I find? I found a 2-week breathwork facilitator training happening about 5 months later on a cute little hippie island called Salt Spring Island. And I was in. I emailed the leader right away and I said, tell me how much I have to pay you. Tell me what I need to do to secure a spot. I want in. And so that was really the start of my journey into becoming a facilitator. And obviously, if you're helping individuals with really, really deep work, such as breath work, you got to make sure you're keeping up on your own work and you're working through your own shit. I can't be going in to help people when I'm still being triggered by things and when my ego is leading the show. And I knew that even then. So my teacher, or my soon-to-be teacher, sent over a 20-minute recording, and I started doing that almost daily. I started learning about the nervous system. I started working with my body at the level of the nervous system and started to really restore harmony and balance within my body, and also build my capacity to be able to help individuals work through these big experiences. In my work as a personal trainer and a coach at the time, I had already had quite a bit of experience helping individuals navigate some really muddy stuff, relationships with our bodies and food, things that we think we're capable of or not capable of. My clients often referred to me as their therapist and not their trainer. And while I, of course, do respect the boundaries of each of those, I had already started to have a taste of some of the things that I could potentially experience in a breathwork session. And so I started to deepen my knowledge of space holding and being able to support people during those big movements. And so if we fast forward to August of 2019, it was finally time for me to do my breathwork facilitator training. I was so excited because our level 1 training, which lasted 5 days, was really a personal journey and was about clearing as much of the channel as possible before we stepped into our roles as facilitators and space holders. And then the remaining 6 days of the training was about the actual technicalities of breathwork. How does breathwork impact the body? How can we work with folks in a gentle and safe way? How can we use different forms of body work to facilitate a breathwork session? I won't share all of the ins and outs about what happened during that 2-week experience, but what I can say is that if I thought that first session in April of 2018 was like the biggest release of my life, whew, I had no idea what was coming to me in August of 2019. I experienced everything from deep, gut-wrenching grief to rage like I have never experienced before, to bliss, like the kind of bliss that I had spent years unsuccessfully chasing through excessive uses of ecstasy and other drugs and alcohol. You know, when I realized that those things that I had always been seeking were available to me without any external substances, I was hooked. Like, what more do we need than our breath to be able to access these amazing things? Of course, it was challenging. A lot of things were brought up. I had a lot of triggers, not even within sessions, but just in the process of learning how to facilitate sessions and working with individuals and seeing things that I was projecting onto people and seeing myself and others that really bothered me. So it was a very big learning opportunity and one that I'm forever grateful for. When I came home from my training, again, there was a lot of integration. There was a lot of work that I needed to continue to do with myself. But there were a few things that I started to notice with myself physically that I did not expect. So prior to going for my teacher training, what I had been experiencing for the past 7 years was a really nasty case of hormonal imbalances. And people say that they don't love the term imbalances because everybody's different and we need to respect everyone's individualities. And yes, I get that. But there are also regularities that the female body needs to go through in terms of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone production. And mine had been way out of whack for about 7 years up to that point. 6 or 7 years. I don't really have really good track of time anymore. And that was due to, I would imagine, all of the chemicals I put in my body for 10 years, but as well to chronic dieting, overtraining, over-exercising, and just burning myself out, working 17-hour days, trying to grow my business and do all of the things. And so what that manifested as for me during that 6 or 7 year period was no period. Incredibly irregular periods with cycles that were sometimes 9 months long, sometimes 6 months long, sometimes 6 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks. I was tired the entire time. Like I often joke / not joke about how I was tired for 6 years. I was incredibly moody. PMS sucked. It was painful. It felt as though I couldn't get out of bed. And I forced myself to because I was training for triathlons and I was training clients and growing my business and doing all the things. But it was like I had to crawl out of bed for about, by that point, my cycle fluctuated from 4 to 6 weeks and my PMS would be anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks. So I'd have a week of feeling energized and feeling like myself. And then I would have 3 to 5 weeks of like just needing to drag myself to do anything. And that went on for years. And what happened after I came home from my breathwork facilitator training was I had a beautiful, symptom-free 4-week cycle. And I was like, I don't want to get too excited here, but oh my goodness, this is magical. And then it happened again and again and again and again for the following year. And it was amazing. I had done so many different things. I had been to doctors. I had been doing traditional Chinese medicine and, TCM worked for me to a point, but it got me from that state of no period for 9 months. And then I get like a really terrible, painful period and then nothing again for 9 months to like that 4 to 6 week period or 4 to 6 week cycle with like 3 to 5 weeks of PMS, which was an improvement for sure, but I wanted no PMS. I wanted some regularity. I wanted some predictability. And I found that. And what that was from healing my body at the level of the nervous system. Our nervous system is so delicately intertwined with the endocrine system, and the endocrine system is what releases and manages and regulates our hormones. And so by regulating my nervous system through a consistent daily breath practice, I was also able to regulate my endocrine system to the point where it is now March of 2021. So I did my teacher training in August of 2019. I had just over a year of beautiful, wonderful, easeful cycles. And in October of 2020, I became pregnant. And this is something that I didn't ever want to do, but I also didn't ever think that I would be able to do, just because of family histories with infertility, as well as my own struggles with hormonal imbalances. So it really is a miracle that right now I am carrying a little human in my body. Like, it's always a miracle to be carrying a human in your body. But for me, it felt really divine and really special because it was something that I didn't think my body would ever be capable of doing. What I also noticed was that a chronic running injury that I had been dealing with for, I think it was about 7 years at that point. I'm pretty sure the running injury started just before the cycle stuff, so I think it was 7 years. And I'd done everything. I'd spent thousands and thousands of dollars on physios, chiros, getting injections, massage, acupuncture, taking different training programs, doing all of the things, and this nagging injury just would not go away. And I was able to start running again after doing my training. Again, working with my nervous system and lowering down those pain signals, the body's almost kind of like freak out response, like, oh shit, this is an activity that used to hurt, so we're gonna make it hurt even though it doesn't actually need to hurt. That all went away. And I was able to run again, and it was beautiful. I was so excited to be able to run and to not have pain and to just get out there and experience the freedom of running. So those were physical things that came from regulating my nervous system. What it looks like in my day-to-day experience now, and I'm gonna be like straight up with you, it's not a magic pill. It takes consistent work, and there are always layers to unpack. And in this new stage of my life, I am being met with more shit that I thought I had dealt with, deeper layers of healing that needs to be done. However, what I find is that I am significantly less reactive than I used to be. So when something comes up, I don't immediately jump to the worst case scenario anymore like I used to. My mom called me Chicken Little growing up because that was always my default, was like, something bad might happen, so the world is going to come crashing down. That's not my default anymore. I am able to find slowness and stillness within my life. And for somebody who spent her entire life running away from herself and her body and her thoughts, that above all else has been worth everything that I worked with and worked through. I find I'm able to trust myself more. I have a deeper connection to something greater than myself. Even if it's just other individuals, I find that when I'm out and I'm in a coffee shop or I'm walking on the street, I don't immediately look away because I'm scared of making eye contact with people. I feel like I can really smile and connect and say hello, and it doesn't matter if they're weirded out by me because we're not used to people being friendly for whatever reason in the city. I feel like I can connect to other individuals more. I feel like I can connect to myself more. And what's been beautiful as well is that my partner has also been going on his own healing journey. And it wasn't linear. His started a little bit later than mine, but he also got to experience the same experience that I had at the level 1 breathwork training. And our intimacy and our relationship with one another has significantly deepened as well. And like I said, we are bringing life into the world, something that neither of us had ever had any desire to do. And now we're excited and really looking forward to raising the next generation and to bringing in this little baby girl who is going to be able to do great things just by being herself. Like I said, I've preached the word of breathwork to so many people, and I've had some people who've been like, this isn't for me. And I've had others who've been like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And so maybe breathwork isn't your vessel for transformation. Maybe it's Reiki. Maybe it's another healing modality. Maybe it's simply taking time to connect with yourself and your body and exploring what's going on in your internal landscape. But I wanted to share this to show you, A, what could be possible for you through breath work if you open yourself to it, but B, simply what's possible for you as a whole. To show you that, like, my body isn't anything special. I'm not anything special. And if my body was able to heal itself from hormonal imbalances, from chronic injuries, if I was able to go from being somebody who would react at the top of a hat to somebody who now can sit and think, how do I want to respond? And even if I do react, I witness myself and I can pull myself out of it much more quickly. All of that's available to you as well. So I want to thank you for giving me the space to be able to share my experience. I hope that this was in some way, shape, or form valuable or informative, or at least inspirational in the sense of showing you what is possible for you. And if you've had any big pivotal moments in your life, any big shifts, anything that has allowed you to transform, I would love to hear about it in the comments. So please feel free to leave a comment below. And yeah, I just want to hear about it so I can celebrate you with you. All right, my friends, thank you so much for your time and your energy and for listening. And I will be back with another video about most likely breath work.